So the last time we discussed data types, we discussed types and variables. And yeah, we stopped at variable. So let's take a look at here. So we did, this is the last exercise that we did. So that was the variable exercise, and it's right here. And I think that was pretty clear. So when we created our variable and we reassigned value to variable, and we saw that at the point of reassigning values to variable, something happened. And what happened is that the initial value were overridden. So here we can see that. So the initial one is this, and this is the new one now. So, and I mentioned that you did something last week, which I was planning to explain to you before, but you did it very well. So if I reassign a value after printing, what is going to happen is that I will still have my initial value because I'm reassigning after when I have printed the initial one, right? So I'm reassigning to the variable, and then I want to print that variable out again. So what is going to happen is this. So we're going to have that printed twice. So if I run this, so we have Messi, and we have that value, and we have Tolu, and we have 3. So Messi is the one that we store in my string, but now I reassign Tolu to that, and I have now in that variable a new value, which is Tolu. And the same thing is happening here. We store 2 here in this variable before, and we reassign a new value to that, and at this time now we have 3. So 2 was here, but now we have 3. So the same thing will happen to the rest of them, and which of course you did very well, and that was fine. So that is all about variable. And you will remember that I also mentioned that a variable is something that can hold a single value. So which is something that is different from the collection. And we're going to see what a collection is as we continue with the lecture. And it is something that is very important when you are talking about programming. You cannot do without it, just like you cannot do without collections at all. So collection is something that is very important. So variable, take note of it, hold just single value, single value, single value, single value. So everything that you can see here is a single value. The only time we have a double value is when we do something like this, comma, and we put another value. Okay, so that's when we have a double value, for example. So, but all these ones now are still referred to as a single value. So let's move on to the new one. So we're gonna look at the keywords. So what are those? Basically, keywords are something that are reserved by the language itself. They are something that you cannot use to create a variable for yourself. It has been used by Python, and you have to treat it as a keyword. So as you can see here, we mentioned that it is forbidden to use them as a variable or to use them as a function or to use them as a class. You can't do that because if you do that, it's going to lead to an error, which is referred to as syntax error. And that error is going to be raised by Python telling you that you are already crossing the boundary. So you don't have to use those as a variable or as a class. So let's take an example of one of it. So I will come right here. So still within our variable section. So let's remove all the spaces which I have here. And I'll just go down a little bit. So one of the keywords that we have here is and, for example. And another one that we are kind of using already is none. So when we have a none type, so that's a keyword that we can't use as a variable. Another one that we should be familiar with is false right here. So when we have a Boolean type, true or false, So we can see those are the keywords. We can't use them to create a variable. And there are so many other ones here, which of course, I am not expecting you to put all these things in your brain right now. You don't have to do that, but you just have to be aware that there are some keywords that is already known to Python. And whenever you try to use them, you will see a warning. Then quickly you should remember that those are keywords. And you can see the color of keywords as well. It's not the same as the other colors that we can see here. So let's try any other keywords again. So one of it is and. So let's say I want to create a variable and call it and here. So you can see immediately the color is the same color as none. So that's a keyword. So if you try any other one, so for example, as also is a keyword, you can see that color right there. So you can't use them to create any variable. So I can't do as one. It will not allow me to do that. So you can see everything is red, as you can see here. I can't do and two. I can't do that. But if I change this name now to something else, so let's do num, that will be fine. Let's do num2, that will also be fine. So keywords are no go area when you are creating a variable. None is used here as a value, not as a variable. So keywords can be used as value, but you can't use them as variable. So if I do none here, you can see immediately, again, it is not acceptable. If I do none, that is fine. But with the uppercase N, it is not acceptable. So maybe the question is, what happens if I do and with the uppercase here? Come on. So again, you can see that is fine. So that is not conflicting with what Python already have. Python is already using the and with a lowercase, and you must not use that as a variable. And another thing is, you remember that I mentioned that whenever we are creating our variable, we try as much as possible to use a lowercase. So try as much as possible not to use an uppercase also for variable. So if you try lowercase and you realize that it is not taken, then forget about it. Use something else. So that's it. So there are keywords that we should not touch. And these are these that we can see here. So again, it's not possible for you to put all this in the bearing, but you will always remember them. By the time you try to use any one of them and you see that color or you encounter an error, then you should go back. That is clear, yeah?
It is.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Then we have operators here. So operators is something that also you cannot do without. So you might have noticed that also that ever since we started this course, we have been using some operators. One of it is this one, this one. So very, very important. We can't do without that operator. And we have been using it, I think, at least from the data types when I was trying to introduce you to variable. So whenever you have a variable, operator must surely come because you want to assign something into that variable. So operator is something that is very, very important as well. And there are different types of them. So as you can see from here, so we have what we call arithmetic operators. So basically, from our school levels, we all have that, we all use that, and we know what that means. So right here, we can see them, plus, minus, multiplication, raised to the power, division, floor division, and this one is what we call the floor division, and this is modulo operator. So we're gonna see what or how to use them as we continue. And also the rest of them, so the comparison operators. So basically when you try to compare two things together, then you get a comparison operator. And we use it also in one of our example when we try to get Boolean type. I saw it also from your homework when you made that comment. When you do 1 is greater than 2, I mean 1 is less than 2, and so on and so forth. So let's say, for example, right here. If I do 1 greater than 2, that will be false, right? So that's comparison operator. We compare this number together, and from there we make a decision whether it is true or false. So we can only make a decision whether something is true or false by comparing them together. And comparison operator greater than sign is what we have used here. And here you can see we have greater than as one of the comparison operator here. Another comparison operator will be not equal. So when something is not equal, that is true because 1 is not equal to 2. So it means that if I run this code, I will be expecting 2 to come right here. I'll be expecting true to come. So right here we can see that because 1 is not equal to 2, then that is true. That's a comparison operator. And we have some other ones here. So if we do equal to, that will be false because 1 is not equal to 2. It was initially true because 1 is not equal to 2. But if we now say equal to, that will be false here because 1 and 2 are not equal. So that's comparison operator. And here we can see all of them here. And we have something we call less than or equal to or greater than equal to. So less than equal to basically means that we have to read it twice. So we can say 1 is less than 2 or equal to 2. So it's either 1 is less or equal to 2. So at this point, 1 is less than 2. So this is going to be true. So let's run it. So 1 is less than 2 is true. It's not equal to, but at least it's less than. But now, if we say 2 is less than 2, that is not true, but 2 is equal to 2. That will be true. So this case will be true again. So this is comparison operator using combined operators together. Two operators are combined here, so which is the less than and equal to. So you will agree with me that I mentioned that equal to is something that we have to do like this in programming. But when you do this combined operator, then the equal to becomes 1. So less than equal to, that's how we read this operator. And the same thing goes to the greater than. So greater than equals to 2. So it is not greater, but is equal to true. So let's check it. That will be true. And what happens if we make it greater? That will still be true. Greater because we mentioned is either it is greater than 2 or it is equal to 2. So if we check it also here, that will be true. But if we now say equal to only here, it was true before, then it's going to be false, right? Because 4 is not equal to 2. But because we are using 2 operator here, we said it is either you are greater or you are equal. Since it is not equal, but it is greater, then it's fine. So now if we run it, then that will be true again. And if we change this to 2, 2, of course, at this time, like unlike 4, is not greater than 2, but it is equal to 2. So therefore, this still will be true. So that's what we refer to as comparison operator. So we use it to compare things together to make decisions. Then after that, we have the assignment operators. So assignment operator is something that you're already used to. One of it is this one. We assign water into number. We assign, it minus 18 into number. We assign water into hop, and that's it. So that's assignment operator example. Then we have identity operators, so which is something that is or is not. And we are going to see how to use them as we continue in the next slide. Then the logical operators, so when something, and again, you can see this logical operator is and or not. So again, is a keyword that you cannot use to create a variable. So and, so is basically you want to find out if something, like if both things are together or not. We are going to see an example of it as well. Then we have the membership operator. So membership operator is all about being a member of an item or not. So you want to know whether, for example, within water, there is A. And if A is found within water, that will be true because it's a member of water. But if P is not here, so if you check P in water, that will be false because P is not here, right? So we're going to see the usage also as we move on. And we have the bitwise operators. So this is the AND or XOR, NOT, and so on and so forth. So these bitwise operators is something that is not common in programming. And what are the common ones that you will always see? 1, arithmetic. 2, comparison. 3, assignment. 4, identity. 5, logical. 6, membership operator. So this last one is more common in hardware design. And hardware design involve the designing of computer, designing of aeroplanes, designing of cars, and so on and so forth. So that's what the bitwise operator is more common. But when we're talking about programming, it's not that really something that we really use often. So those are the operators that we have here. And as I mentioned again, we are going to see how to use them, and you will know how to use them as we move on. So arithmetic operators. So as initially mentioned, these are something that we are already familiar with when we were in school. And when we talked about plus, we are talking about adds, which is something that we had both numbers, right? And can be also used to join multiple strings into one. So this part is something that you are not used to. Can be also used to join multiple strings into one. What do we mean by that? So what we mean by that is very simple. And that is what we refer to as strings concatenation. So add, which you know that they can be used to add numbers together. We can also use it to join strings together. Strings as anything that goes inside a double quote or a single quote, as we initially mentioned. So for example, name, which is a John, is something that we store here. John is something that we store into name. So which means that John is assigned to the name variable. And greeting is also a variable. And what we assign inside the greeting is hello plus name. So which means that that will be hello John. Because we are using plus here, that's concatenation. In this case, we don't call it addition. When you use plus between two strings, that becomes string concatenation. And that is what we are talking about at here. Add numbers together should be clear, but this point is basically talking about concatenation here. Subtract, basically subtract a number from another number. So that should be very clear. So 5, then we multiply 2 plus 2 times 2, that gives us 4. We minus 8, for example. So that's subtract. Multiplication, we should be clear with that. And that multiply both numbers, just like they had. But also here, we also see that we can also use it to repeat a string s times. So x times basically means the numbers of time that you want to repeat that string, you will have to multiply that string with that numbers of time. So here, for example, hey ho is a string that we store inside a message. And we needed to repeat AO many times, like 2 times. And here we can see AO, AO. Divides, we do the same thing. Divide number, we know that. Raises a number to the power of another number, that is this. And here we can see calculates a root of a number, power of another number. So that is a floor division. So it's kind of working like it divides. But with this, we don't have a decimal point. We have a random number. We have something which is a whole number. Sorry. We are going to see what I mean by that by the time we continue. So now the last one calculates division remainder of both elements and is called modular operator. So basically, this is going to calculate the remainder of any value that you supply. So let's say 2 divided by 2. So that will be basically having no remainder. So that is what we are talking about. But when we divide 3 by 2, uh, we realize that we're going to have a remainder out of that. So let's take a look at the example from here, from the Python. So now we are in the section of operator. So operator intro is what we can open now, and we have an access to all those things that we can see from the slide. So the section of arithmetic operator, we have it here, then string concatenation and string repeat, string concatenation and string repeat. So we have everything back in the code right here, and we can take a look at them here. So let's run this file, and let's take a look at what happened here. So the first thing we are printing is what we are doing. So which is kind of a comment at the top, but we pass it in a print function because we want to print it out so that we can see underneath what we have done here. So up to this point, we have done arithmetic operator up to this point. And up to this point, from here to here, we have done string concatenation. So maybe it will make sense to also print it out so that we can separate that from the arithmetic operator. So I'll do string concatenation. I'll put it inside here. So if I run that again, that will be more clear now. So up to here, from here to here is my arithmetic operators. And from here to here is my string concatenations. And from here to here is that, and this, and this, and this, as you can see. So let's go on and take a look one by one. So what we have done here is we perform this mathematics. So we added things together, we multiply things together, then we remove that from here. And that gives us 4. And the same thing happens here. We remove this from here. And that gives us this. And we raise this to the power of 3. And that gives us 8. And we divide this by 4. And that gives us 2.5. Take a look at the floor division. The same division that we did here, we did it also here. But we use a floor division here. It means that we round the number down to 2. So without any half right here. So we truncate the remainders. So whatever that is remaining has been truncated whenever you use a floor division. So that's the power of a floor division. If you don't have a remainder, if you don't want to have a remainder, you can use that. So let's say you want to share something between your kids at home, and you want to make sure that, hey, you want to have a whole number for all of them, and you realize that your division is giving you half, then you probably can use a floor division, and that will just truncate whatever it is and give you a whole number. Based on that, you can base your decision on that for whatever it is that you want to share between them. So take note of this operator division and floor division. So what it's doing is very clear. So this we give a remainder. This we truncate it. The same value we are dividing. So we call this floor division. And right here we have the modular operator. So looking for the remainder. So if you divide 5, if you divide it by 2, then will you have a remainder or not? We're going to have a remainder of 1, and this is it here. But if you divide 4 by 2, there will be no remainder. Therefore, right here, we can see we don't have remainder here. So this is what this is calculating. So looking for your division and then finding out whether that division will remain something or not. But if I use proper division here, we know that the result here must be 2, right? Because when you divide 4 by 2, you are saying that what is the division value? And that will be 2. But what we have here is not division. It is called modulo operator, and it is looking for the remainder of your division. So if you run that again, that will give us 0, because by the time you divide that by 2, you have no remainder. But if you do 5 divided by 2, right here, and here you can see that is 2.5. It's having a remainder. Therefore, the modulo operator will return 1 in this case, because it has a remainder. So it returns 1. Yeah, you can see that. So that's what the modulo operator is going to do. So half from this side and half from the other side to 2.5. So 0.5, 0.5 will return 1. So that's the remainder that we get. And now let's take a look at the string concatenation, which is joining. So we put a John here, which is name, and we want to greet John. We do hello. There's a space here. The reason is because we want a space in here. If you don't put a space there, everything will be written together. So here you can see that space. But if I remove that space now and I try to run it again, so here you can see there's no space. We only have comma. But if I put a space here, then that will be hello John with a space. So right here we can see. So that's the purpose of that space there. So this is still your normal string that you know how to write. So your string, if you want, you can do it without comma. So we all have the style on how we write our English. So right here you can see hello, but there's no space. If you put a space again, then that will be hello John without comma in between them. Hello John. If you want a comma, then put it there. And we do that at this point, and we print greeting. So which means that if I change this to hi, that will be hi plus John. And that will be string calculation, and that will be hi John. That's it. Here we can see that. So all what we have done here is string concatenation. String repeat. So it's kind of related to string concatenation, but this is using multiplication and not addition. So right here we can see all we have done here is that we have a message, and the message is AO. That's what we store inside the variable message. And we are printing here message 2 times. That's it. That's what we are saying. We are printing this message 2 times by repeating it. So that means the value that we store in the message will be printed out twice. AO, AO. And that's what we can see here. AO, AO. So if we want this to grow, can even make it 20. And that will start shouting, right? So, and here we can see that. So you can see hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, and so on and so forth. So basically, that is what we refer to as string repeat. So we repeat that string based on the number that we passed in there. Any question?
No question now.
Okay, good. So keep following. Don't worry. It's not difficult. It's something that you will understand. So just keep following. Then we have the assignment operators. What is that? So assignment operator is something that you already know. when you assign, so you did your homework and you said assign into variable, so which is fine. So the assignment operator here is this one. The assignment operator here is this one, this one, this one. So what are these? So this one, this one. So those are the assignment operator. So where do we take the assignment operator from? Very simple. From the arithmetic operator and assignments. What do I mean? If you take a look at the arithmetic operator, we have plus, we have minus, we have raised to the power, we have division, we have floor division, we have modulo. And that's what we are repeating here. Plus, minus, multiplication, division, raised to the power, floor division. The only thing is that we are adding assignment here. So this is why we still refer to this as assignment operator. And what is the first one talking about? So the first one says that A, 3 is assigned to num variable. And the second one says that 2 is added to initial num value and the result is stored back to num. What do I mean? Very simple. This is it here. So here we have 2, we have num plus 2. So that's the full written of what you just saw that was here before. So here, what we are saying is that, take a look at here. We have 3 store into the variable. So let me use something that is very common at home. So I'm going to use your store where you used to store your food stuff. So if you go to the market, so let's say you buy 1 rice, you put it inside our store. Okay, good. And you come back to your house, right? You put that into the store, which is fine. So that means you have 1 rice in the storage. And tomorrow, maybe you go out again and you buy another rice and you use a polythene bag, you put the new one that you just bought, you put it inside a polythene bag, and you also put the old one that you already have, you put it inside a polythene bag, and you tie 2 of them together, and you put them back into the storage. So this is what is happening here. So in simple sense, what happened is 1 rice is at home. Okay, fine. Give me that 1 rice, which is here, which is 3, and add 2 more to it. So that will be 5. And put them back again into the storage. So it means that we have 5 bags of rice in the storage. That's it. So this is what we are doing here. And we still refer to this as assignment operator. So the point is, when you go to the market, you don't want to throw something that you already have in your storage away if they are not spoiled, if they are still fine. Rather, you want to add to it and keep them back into that storage. So this is what is happening here. So this is assignment operator. And in the shorthand, this is something we can write like this. Plus, remove this part, and that will be this. So that's the short form of it. In the long form of it, it means that take this number here again, put it here. So that's the long form. Take the plus here in front of this number right now, then bring it here. And that's it. So if I run this code, which of course I'm running already, so let's take a look at what's going on. Assignment operator. Value initially was 3. We didn't print anything yet at this point. So we now do plus 2 to 3, and we print, and we got 5. So this is it here. So which means that if I printed something here before we do any assignment, what I will get is 3. So right here we can see we stored 3 here, we printed out 3, we got out 3, and we go to the market again, we buy something, we added it to 3, and we store it back here, then it becomes 5, we printed out 5. Okay, we want to cook you want to cook one rice from that storage, you take one rice. This is the minus sign, which means that you minus one rice, which is a long form of num minus one, and this minus will go away from here. So that's a long form of that. And it means that, hey, from the 5 rice that you have now, you take one out of it, and this will be 4. And 4 is left in your storage. And when you print, you got 4. Okay, tomorrow you went again to the market and you saw something that you still like and you take it out by buying them. So now you buy in 3/4 now. So you buy 3 things. So what is happening here is that this will be num multiplied by 3, right? So now you increase that storage by 3 times. So which is initially 4. Now you got the storage to be 12. And this is what is happening here. So if we run that, that is 12. And you now decided to say, okay, let's divide everything that we have at home. Let's give half of it to your sister. Maybe you have your sister here and your sister needs some foodstuffs. And you, okay, let's look at the storage. In my storage, I have 12. So what I'm going to do is I'll divide everything in my storage by 2. So this is what you are doing here. So which means the food part of it will be written this way, num, just like I did to other ones. And this division will come to the front here. So that's the full form of this. The short form is what you just saw. And this is the full form. So which means that what we have here is, look at my storage. Whatever you have there, divide it by 2 and put half of it back into my storage. And half of it is going to be given out because half is going to be left in the storage. And this is why you have 6 left in the storage. Okay, so once you are done with that, then you now say, okay, because I gave out, God wants to multiply my pockets and my storage want to be, full with more food. And here you raise to the power of 3. Maybe God did that for you. So that is initially 6, which is left in the storage, has been increased now, raised to the power of 3. And therefore you got 216. And what happened here is basically the same as what we just did previously. So take num to here, so which is whatever in the storage, then raises to the power of 3 right here. That's it. And whatever the result is, which is 216, store it back into num. Therefore, we are able to print it out. And this is why you got 216 here. Okay, so we get out 216. We needed to divide it again. So right here, we are using the floor division. So in case if we have any remainder, we want to round it down to the whole number. Excuse me. Please 1 minute. I have a call. I'll quickly pick it up.
Okay.
Hello? Yeah, so sorry for that. So here you have the floor division. So all what you are doing here is that you take that 216 and which is going to be num again in the full form floor division, and you take this out from here. So this is the full form of that. So you can see it's the same approach. It's the same. The only thing that you keep changing is the number, is the operator here, depending on what you're doing. And you still have to assign them back to the num. And at this point now, we have one whole hit, and that's what we got here. And again, you divide out to 2. Maybe you gave half again to someone because God blessed you, and you are looking for another blessing of God because whenever you give out, you get more blessing. So when you give out from 12, you you gave out 6 parts, you got blessing, which is huge. And if you're giving out 108 now, probably you get a better, more blessing. So let's try it. So again, so what we have now is 108. 108 raised to the power of 3. That's more blessing. And here we go. So you can see that. So that's why it's always good to give. So yeah, this is what is happening here, as you can see. So we have them still as assignment operator, and everything I have done here is basically something I would like to reverse just for you to remember that everything can be written in this short form. And whenever you see them, you should understand what that is talking about. So it means that take whatever that you have in your variable, then do this operation on it, maybe minus 1 from it, then assign the result back to that variable. So that's what that means. So let's remove this also. Let's put our multiplication here. So again, what that is saying is that multiply 3 to the value that is already stored in the number and store the result back into the number. And also the same is happening here, which basically means that divide whatever initially is in the num and store the result back into the num. And also here. So we're going to raise num to the power of 3. And the same thing is happening here. So we're going to floor division and also here. So that's it. So all these are in short forms. So if I run this again now, we must still have the same results that we got here. From 3 down to 1259 and so on. From 3 down to 1259. So let's see if we get it. From 3 down to 1259712. So we still got the same result. So everything that you have here is what I just showed you, the long form of it. So right here, I'm trying to slow down just for you to assimilate. So right here, we have the comparison operator. So what is that? So basically, it's something that you already know when we use the Boolean type. So we try to compare numbers together to make decisions. And the same thing is what is happening here. So let's move this up a little bit. And I'll move this up. So right here, we can see that we print comparison operator. We created a variable here, John. We created another variable, 2, John. So 2 variables basically stores the same thing. That is possible. You can have 2 same cup storing water, and you place them on the table at the same time. And if you compare that 2 cups together, you realize that they are equal because they hold the same value, they are the same cup, the same type, and they still hold the same value. You can call the first cup cup 1 and call the second cup 2. But what is inside these 2 cups are still the same. So this is what we are talking about here. Even though the variable names are different. So John 1, John 2, or what they still have is John. This one is now holding John 2, and this one is now holding John 1. So if that is the point, then these guys will not be the same. But variable doesn't really matter here in this case. What is stored in that variable is what we are comparing. So John is what we store. And that is what will be compared here. John 1 equal to John 2. That is true. One not equal to 1. Is that correct? Is 1 not equal to 1?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is 1 not equal to 1?
No, 1 not equal to 1.
Yeah. Is it true or false?
Is false.
Yeah, it's false. So because 1 is equal to 1. So if you say 1 is not equal to 1, it will tell you it's false. Because computer is smart. You know that, hey, 1 and 1 is equal. So if you now say, hey, you're kind of arguing with me that 1 is not equal to 1, you want to make me look stupid. So it's false. 1 is equal to 1. And this is what is happening here. And the same thing is happening here. So 99 less than 1.1. That is not true because 99 is greater than 1.1. You can't have 99 euros and I have 1.1 euro, and I will now say that I have more money than you. That is not true. So this is what is happening here. Therefore, it is false. Again, here we can see it is false. At this point, it is true because truly 99 is greater than 1.1. Minus 32 is less than minus 33. Minus 32 is less than minus 33. And there we can see that that is false. 1, 2, 3 is greater or equal to 1, 2, 3, and that is true. So those are the basic comparison operations that we performed using comparison operators that we can see here. And we move on to the next one. So which is the logical operators? Very simple. So true or false? True. What do we mean? So are you or your husband, or let's say this way, will you be there or your husband will be there? So I'm asking you that question, and the point now is either you are there or your husband will be there. So that will be true whenever one of you are just there. So that's what we need. But if I now say, will you and your husband be there? So that will be like we are expecting both of you to be there. So if both of you are not there, then it means that you are not there, even if one of you is actually arrived. So that's the point. So let's take a look for the whole case first. So let's say you is this one. Let's say your husband is this one. Are you or your husband coming? So let's take a look at that. So your husband did not come. That is false. You are coming. That is true. So in this case, you are representing your family. So that means you are there. So the entire result will be true. And this is what is happening here. So either one of you, right? So this is the whole case. So let's take a look at it logically. So let's say the case when is going to be true. Let's say 2 is greater than 1. That is true. 1 is greater than 2. That is false because 2 is greater than 1. That is true. 1 is greater than 2. That is false. So we remove true here and we remove false here. So we still have true and false again. So if I run this, I'm still expecting this to be true. And let's try. So logical operator right here we go. That is still true because what is returning is true and what is returning is false. And even if you switch these values, that will still be true. So the main point is for one of these cases to be true. When one of the case is true, then the entire result will be true. So that's logical operator for you. So it's kind of logical. So we're expecting at least one of you to come. So this is the word or here. But if this is and, so it means that we are expecting both of you to be true. So if any one of these is false, the entire result will be false. As you can see, because we are expecting you and you, not only one person. So if any one of these is false, then this whole family, we don't recognize them to be there. So this is what is happening. So the whole case is whether any of this is true. If any of this is true, then the result is true. So let's take a look at the AND operator. So in this case, now we agree with me that the entire result here will be what? The entire result here will be what? Are you following?
Yeah, I'm following. Please, could you come again with your question?
Yeah, my question is the entire result here will be what? What will be the result?
It's going to be false.
Okay, that's correct. So the entire result here will be false. And the reason is because whenever any of the cases in the hand case is false, then the entire result will be false. But if we change this to or, then the result will be true, as you can see. So because when we talked about the or case, we are expecting any of the case to be true. So let's say from your family, you, your husband, and maybe your son or your daughter, and you wanted to attend a party, and your friend now asks you, will you be coming? Or your maybe daughter or your husband will be coming. So we make a decision. You can say, okay, maybe all of you will come, or you can say, no, my daughter will come, or my husband will come. So if your husband is going to go, that means you are present, all of you. So that is the whole case. But when we use and, we are talking about all of you collectively. So this is what is happening in the case of and. So which means that if any of this is false, then the entire result is false. It means that your families are not there because we are expecting all of you to come. So that's what is going on here. So you can see the case of or and and. So in the case of and, everything must be true. Everything must be true for the result to be true. In the case of or, at least one must be true for the result to be true. So let's make that comment here. Might be good for you. Is this comment clear?
I think you said in the case of and, everything must be true for the entire result to be true.
Yeah.
But if it's false and it's and, then that means everything must be false for the entire result to be false.
For the hand,
Yeah.
no. Everything cannot be false for it. If any one of it is false, then the entire hand will be false.
But if anyone is false,
Yeah. This is how you remember it. Let me tell you. Think of it this way. For the whole case, right? For the whole case, one must be true. Only one. If that's the case for the whole, it means that if any one of the hand is false, then the entire result also will be false. Because in the case of hand, everything, this is what we are saying, everything must be true. So it means that if anything is false here, the result will be false. Because the statement says that everything must be true. This must be true, this must be true, this must be true. So it means that if any of this is false, any of them, if one out of them is false, or two, or three, all of them will be false. So that's what this statement means. Do you agree?
Okay, it's much clearer now.
Yeah?
It's clearer now.
Okay, that's good. All right. So that is what is happening here. So if any of this, because the statement is everything here must be. If we only have two hand, then that two hand must be true for the result to be true. That two hand must be true. If any of this is false, the hand is not like all case. In all case, one must be true. So take a look now. We have true before when we have this, but now that I have changed it, we have true false now. True for the whole, for this case, but for the hand, it is false. Because and is expecting both to be true for you to get a true result here. This one is expecting one to be true for you to get a true result here. Am I making sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. So let's move on. Print, not false. So this is something that we can refer to as inverter. Something that is kind of inverting the result. So let's say something like I made that comment here, inverter. So something that's initial value or result. What do I mean? So not. So if I say true and you say not, so it means that you said false. If I say true, let's say for example, did you go there yesterday? And maybe true, and you say not. So you're kind of saying, hey, I didn't go. So I did not go there. So what you said is not true. So not true, it means that false. Not false, it means true, basically. So this is what we are saying here. If you said not false, hey, what you are saying is true because it's not false. And that means if it is not false, it will be true. And this is why you can see true here. So something that is not false, it means it is true. Something that it is not true, not true, will means false. So I will expect this to change to false. If I say not true, it means that I'm telling lie. Or if you say not true, it means that you said what I'm saying is not true. That is false. That's it here. So this is kind of inverter, putting a not in front of true, or putting a not in front of false, then that will invert the meaning. So not false, that will be true. Not true, that will be false. So that's logical operator up to this point. And the same thing that you already understood from here is what we are using here. So all of these things that you can see, that you see here, we can use something like this to make a decision. That is whether something is true or false, because whenever we compare something together, they will either come out as true or false. And right here, we compare 40 is greater than 30, and that is true. So therefore, not is greater. So it's greater now is returning true here because the value here is true when we compare it. So it's something like true here. And when we now say not true, we inverted that, and that is why we saw false here. So if I run that again, I should be expecting to still see false right here. So we are talking about logical operator. Don't look at this one. Look at this one. So which means that is greater is getting true here because 40 is greater than 30. That is true. And this is what this is returning, true. Therefore, not is greater. It means that it is not greater. So we turn that to false. So, which of course is not true. But we are just learning, basically, that whatever it is that you get here, you can invert it and turn it to something else. So which means that if I use all this value, 30 is greater than 40 here, that will be true. And if I do 30 is greater than 40, that will be false. So true or false in case of one or more true. In case of, in case of one, in case of all, yeah, in case of all, let's put quote around here. One must be true for the entire result to be true. In case of and, so that will make more sense to read. Everything must be true for the entire result to be true. So now, what is greater than 30? Is that true or false?
It's true.
Yeah. And this one, 30 is greater than 40. That is false.
It's false.
Okay, great. So that means let's do the same here. This one is also true. And operator, both of them must be true for it to be true. So let's put not true here. So which means that we are expecting the AND operator to return false because the AND operator says that both here and here must be true for the entire result to be true. And inverter, so not false is what we have. I mean, false is what we have here, and 30 is greater than 40 is something that will return false. Let's put it here. So the result initially that we have here is this one. I'll copy it up based on here, and I will make a comment. I will dot string it so that we can see it later. If by the time we run this changes, maybe we still get our result. Did I actually copy? I put it in a dot string. So a dot string is like a comment, but that will allow us to put more than one thing inside quickly. And what I'm going to do is I will run again. So my logical operator, yeah, of course, one will change now because true was what we have here before. So this one was 40, 30 before. 40, 30 and 40, 30. So let's do it that way. So which means true. And if that is true, then we should be expecting to have the same result. So logical operator, so true, 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 false, false. So you can see that. So because this is true, this is false. And this case means that one must be true. So since one is true, then the entire result is true. So I don't even want to read further because one must be true. That is enough for me. One must be true. One. This is one. It's true. This one is not true. Okay. So result is true. In this case, everything must be true. Okay. Everything. This must be true. This must be true for me to get true. So it means that if 30 is greater than 40 here, that is not true. Therefore, I'm going to get false. right here because it says everything must be true. And since this is not true, your 30 is not greater than 40, but 40 is greater than 30, that is fine. Not false. So 30 is greater than 40 is false. So not false should return true. 40 is greater than 30 is true. Not true must return false. And that's it. So this is what we have done here. That's what we have done there. Any question up to that point?
No question yet.
No question yet. Okay, good. Let's take a short break. Probably you will be tired. So let's take a short break and we come back after 5 minutes. Is it fine?
Okay.
Yeah, see you. All right, so now we continue from the membership operators. So what is it? So here again, you can see we printed that out. So that's the next thing we want to talk about. A membership operator is also something that will return true or false. So take a look at the things that are returning true or false now. So one is comparison. So when you compare two things, you want to know whether it is equal or not, or whether they are comparable. The other one is the logical operator. So whether something is logical or not. A membership operator. So membership operator is something that we can use. So let's say, for example, you have in your storage where you store maybe, okay, let's say in your fridge, you bought some meat and you keep them in the fridge. So maybe you have a cow, you have a sheep, and you also have a dog. Maybe you bought them and you put them in the fridge. And you ask your son to go and take force out of the meat that you have in the fridge. It is very certain that he will not be able to find it because it's not there. And here we are kind of looking. So we are saying that force not in here. That is true because it is not here truly. And the result is true. So here we do wine in here. That is true because wine is here. But if we now do force in here, that is not true because it is not there. Force in here is not here. And if I run it, that should return false because here we can't find this false here. And this is why not in will return true because truly it is not in here. I can't find it here. And that is why this return true because it is not there. So this is here. Yeah, that's good. It's there. So let's do another one. So let's do, for example, let's do Nigeria in, for example, Estonia. So we have name of countries that maybe attended something, for example, Estonia, USA, Finland. Yeah, so let's make it 3. So the point is Nigeria is not here. Therefore, this should return false because Nigeria is not there. And here we can see that Nigeria is not here, and therefore it is false. But if we happen to have Nigeria here this time around, then the result will be true because Nigeria is there. So you can see. So this is what we refer to as membership operator. And what is that membership here? These are the membership operator. So checking whether something belongs to somewhere or not. And what are the logical operators? Logical operators are or and not, not. So basically checking whether something and something is comparable or whether this or this is comparable. And not comparable actually, it's logical. And here is the comparison operator where we are checking whether two things are comparable. All right. So whenever we check that, all what we get back is either true or false. And that's it. So that's what we're talking about in here. So arithmetic operator, we look into that. Comparison operator, we also look into that. Then logical operator, we also look into that. Membership operator, we also look into that. So the two operators that we have here is in and not in. And we've used that. So, and we can see we have some explanations here as well. So in returns true when the value is present in a sequence. And you saw that. Not in returns true when the value is not present. Very simple, just the way it is, not in. If it is not there, then it will return true because truly it's not there. If it is there, then it returns true because it is there. So that's it. So it is going to look into things and check whether that belongs there or not. And then it will return you the result based on that. Any question up to this point?
No question now.
Are you
Everything
following? Yeah?
is looking like Greek for me.
It's looking like trick. Yeah? Hello? I can't hear you anymore.
I said everything is looking like Greek.
Like Greek.
Yes.
See, what you are doing is basically you are redefining player. So that's what you are doing right now. So the idea is when you practice and develop any skill, you transform yourself in the process. Mm. So you kind of review to yourself new capabilities that were previously latent. So that are exposed as you progress. So as you continue, you will see that a lot of things will be exposed to you and you will develop emotionally. Your sense of player becomes redefined. And there's something that offers maybe sometimes immediate player will comes to seem like a distraction to basically something that we look like an empty entertainment. And you will see that you will feel confidence, you know, as time goes on, and your abilities and gaining fluency in skills will increase and experiencing the power that brings basically, development in you. And it's a matter of time. So I don't think that it's not something that you cannot learn or you cannot understand. So this is the way it always starts. So whenever you are learning a new skills, you are kind of developing yourself, and you realize that everything that you kind of maybe see as a player before will not be a player to you anymore. You want to learn more, you want to know more, you want to know better. So I think I think that is the way it's always be. But uh and what do you
Just
think now?
yeah,
Is this something you think you won't be able to cope with or
no,
what?
I will, but
Okay.
like I think what I have to do is I
Yeah.
need to every day I have to assign, even if it's 30 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
if I really need to meet up. Because last week, I think
Yeah.
last week's lecture was easier for me,
Okay.
though. And if you watch, my participation in class last week was more.
Mm-hmm.
But today's lecture, most times I'm just trying to assimilate, grab as much as possible, try to understand and process these things. And at a point, it's like, I don't want to use the word, it's jamming my brain,
Mm.
you know.
Wow.
So, but I know, maybe when we're done with this lecture, I would have to go back to what we have
Mm-hmm.
done.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I'll take them bit by bit.
But
Then
do
I'll
you
be
do you,
able to.
do you miss something now?
You said? What did you say, please?
Yeah. So um everything we discussed, we try to do an exercise here, and we will see from there whether we at least understand or not. So don't worry. So each of these things that we are talking about, we always have an exercise that we have to look into just to make sure that we are keeping our head around of it. So the first or the only question that we have here is to try determine what is printed on each line. So as you can see, we want to see if we understand what will be printed. But before we do that, before we run this file, uh, let's take a look. I'll bring up the file. So that's in Python. So as a matter of fact, you can see that we don't have that file here. So that will be something that we have to create. And that file is basically still the same as what we can see here. So some of the things that we can see here is what we can see here. So let's take a look here. So the question says, try determine. Oh my God, hold on. Yeah, so it's not here. Variable exercise. Yeah, it's not here. So try determine what is printed on each line. Run this file. So I'll give you that file. But if you take a look at what you can see on the screen right now, is there something that you are kind of already familiar with from the lectures that we already passed through? Is there something that you kind of know here already that you can just talk about? So maybe I should give you the time to talk as well. So let's listen to you. Is it fine?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we already know how to create a file. Can you go ahead and create a file inside O4 UTF-8 compliance so that we can do this exercise? So
Okay, let me do that.
you right click on the O4 and you go to Python file. Okay. So now what we need to do is to print out all character of the Greek alphabet. I'm going to send those characters to you and you try to print them out. One sec. So print out all the Greek alphabet. Give me one sec. I'm sending across.
Okay, where are you sending the file? Is it here on?
No. I'll send it to you on the Slack chat room. One sec. So you have it now.
Okay, but even if you're sending it on Slack, is it still possible to send it on this chat, that Zoom chat here?
Yeah, sure. I can also send it. You don't have
Yeah.
access to your Slack at the
No, but
moment?
once I open Slack, it's going to make my system very slow.
Ah, okay. So let me try to send it here. Do you have it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, great. So I will also create the same file, Python file, and that will be UTF-8. And that's it. Then we just paste it inside our file that we created. So these are all the Greek alphabets that we pasted here. So once you are done, let me know. And then you can just try to run it. And when you run it, you can see that your Python is able to print them out correctly because it is UTF-8 compliance. And here we can see how the alphabet here has been printed according to the way we put them in. So the whole point here is for you to just know that Python supports UTF-8 and you can use any language within Python. But you are lucky since you are an English speaker, and you can also like use your English language without being bothered about any other country languages. So that's what we're talking about here. So let's move on to this topic. But maybe before we do this, let's take a break. We can even take a long break now. Or what do you think? Probably
Okay,
you will
okay,
need time to relax. So let's take a long break,
all
30
right,
minutes. And after
okay,
that, then we continue to talk about the string printing and formatting. See you
all
soon
right,
then. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So let's continue.
Okay,
So now we are going to look into the string formatting and printing. So as you can see from the slide. So here we can see string printing. So the question is, we've been talking about string. So we saw an example on how to create a string and store that in a variable. So why do we have to look into this again? So the reason is very simple. So when you are doing anything, writing your program, so a whole lot of things that you're going to be doing is putting strings together and manipulating strings and so on and so forth. So we need to know how to properly manipulate the strings and make use of them. So that is why we have to do this now. So there are four main ways of printing data. So one is something that we already used to a little bit. So that is unformatted output. So we just pass in the data and print it out as it is. So the second one is using the printf style, which is something we refer to as old style. So we call it printf style. And the reason why we call it that, you will see it as we continue. And the third one is the str.format, and we call it new style. So the question is, why is one old and the other one is new? And why do we still have again another one, which is called string interpolation? So the reason why we have old one is because it was initially created and the uh, community realized that basically there are some things missing that needed to be added. And then we went ahead and we have a new one that we call string.format. And again, we realized that even the new one, the one that we call new one, is still lacking some stuffs. And we also need to include it. And then we went ahead and they created a new one. They call it string interpolation. And basically, string interpolation now is the one that we can also refer to as sling literals or F strings. So what are they, how to use them, and the examples are what we are going to see in the next slide. So moving on, the print function. So the print function is something that we initially we started discussing when we started this course, and I gave an example of a coffee machine for the string function. And I said, take a coffee machine as a sample. So it's going to behave uh, in a certain way, and the behavior of the coffee machine is always going to be the same. So that's the same thing for the print function. So the behavior of the print function will always be the same. It's always going to print something. It now depends on the choice that you make. And your choice is what you ask the print function to print. So now, by understanding that, we can see that we have already familiarized ourselves with the basic usage of the print. However, we mentioned that it is way more powerful than that, than what we already know. We can use it to, one, display multiple values at once, define a separator inserted between values. So that probably will not be clear right now, but by the time we look into the example, I will show you what that point means. Point number three, append a string after the last value. Append a string after the last value. So all these 3 points are the things that we are going to look into. So we can use it to display multiple value. What we have been using print functions to do is we display single value. So everything that you see here can be categorized as a single one for now, because everything started from a double quote and ended in a double quote here. So by the time we'll be looking into displaying multiple value, then it's going to be something like this, print. So let's say, for example, I'm going to put uh, here, joy. And after that, we can have a comma and put Messi here. So as you can see, we have joy, which is one string, so which is one value. We have a comma, then we have another value. So double quote, double quote, double quote, double quote. So everything here is categorized to be one. So everything here is categorized to be one, and here is categorized to be one. So we are using print now to do printing of two values. So let's see that. So here we can see Joy Mercy is being printed. So basically, it is possible to use it to print multiple value. So we're going to see how to do that now. So right here, we can see printing multiple values. We can provide from 1 to unlimited numbers of strings. So it means that print function will not limit you based on the value that you passed in. You can decide to pass in as many as you want, and that will print for you. And you can use it to print different data types. So here we can see that this number 1 that we have here has been converted to a string. 2 also has been converted to a string because we put a double quote around of them, and we have 3, 4, 5 as number, and that will be printed out as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The orange, as you can see, that is a string that we store in a variable called orange, and we print out apple, banana, and fruit. So fruit in this case will be having the value of orange. So let's move on to the Python and take a look from there. So we are here now, string formatting and printing. So we are in the printing introduction. So I'm going to run this code right here. And while running, so you can see what a lovely day has been printed out. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 has been printed out. A good question here is, at these points, as you can see, this is a string. But by the time we printed it out, we can hardly differentiate whether 1 and 2 comparing to 3 and 4 are all numbers. We can hardly differentiate that because here we can see when they are printed out, they are not wrapped with a double quote. But the point is, since we are the one that knows what we put here, this is why we know that this value now was initially a string. We could have thought that this value is also a number, and that's one of the power of the type function that we already know. So we can use that to check the type, and you will realize that that is a string and not a number. And right here, we can see we have the fruit. So fruit is not printed, but the value that we store
So,
inside. Yeah.
sorry, something, the thoughts came to my mind now,
Yeah.
mm, based on what you just did.
Okay.
So, we can actually say, I don't know if I'll be right to say that
Go
what
ahead.
we did, as in print what on the string, comma, a string, then lovely string, day string, then full stop string. Can
Yeah.
we categorize them as back end operation?
Backend.
Yeah, because what I'm saying, maybe I might be wrong.
Yeah.
What I'm saying it is that after putting this is what it looked like. But by the time you ran it,
Yeah.
it came out as a full sentence.
Okay.
So without those string values and everything, just
Mm-hmm.
came out as a
Okay.
normal. So the ones with string value, are we going? Is it? Will I be right to say they are back end operation? Then the results front end. I don't know, but that was just what came to my
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
mind
are right.
now.
You are right using that term. You are right using it. That is totally fine. So you can say yes, of course, this is something that we've done in the back end, and coming out to the front end, we can see what has been returned. That's totally fine. We can also refer to it as the back end. Something has been processed, and the front end is where you get the result. So that's fine.
Okay, because nobody is saying what actually um nobody is saying what actually was imputed, but what
Yeah,
people are seeing now, or what people would see is
yeah.
um what a lovely day. But
Hmm.
what actually went in before we can what actually went in before um what a lovely day came out, they are
Yeah,
not seeing it.
yeah. That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. So you can refer to that as backend operation, which is fine. So you are already kind of talking as an IT person, actually.
I'm not I'm still a rookie.
No, sincerely speaking, I wasn't expecting it, but when you stated it, then it's fine. Say you're right. So that's the point. So here you can see something came out and something has been done in the back end. So That's
Yeah,
correct.
because if you have to look at the back end, what was
Yeah,
done, it looks messy.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so what we're presenting now looks
Yeah,
beautiful. You
yeah,
know, everything is arranged, but what went behind it is what people don't know.
yeah, that's true. That's
Okay.
correct. Yeah. And that's the way programming is all about. So people will not know everything that you put in together to make that beautiful application or to make that beautiful website that people are using. But at the end of it, they have a beautiful front end where they can interact with. But inside there are a lot of things going on. And that's what you're learning now.
Okay.
Yeah. So right here we can see that. What a lovely day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and everything has been printed out as you stated in the front end. And here we can see apple, banana, and orange. So apple, banana. So orange is stored in a variable. And here we can see that orange has been printed out. So printing out multiple strings with a separator. So that's what we are talking about at this point. Define a separator inserted between values. So let's see. So printing out multiple strings in a separator. So this is it here. Print, separator. So right here, we can define a separator that will be inserted between the values by overriding default value space. So what do we mean by that? We can override the default value space. So let me show you what that means. So there's a space here, which is a default space. There's a space here, which is coming by default. There's a space here, which is coming by default. And that's it right here. So space, space, space. So when we print, we see that space. And now we're talking about printing out multiple strings with a separator. So a separator is something that we fill the space of, we fill those spaces. So this separator will come in between the spaces that we saw previously. And this is why by the time we printed this again, we can see what dash a dash lovely dash day dash, and we have all those dashes filling those spaces because we added a separator here. So if I had removed this separator here by cutting it, the only thing we're gonna get is what a lovely day right here without any space. As you can see, we don't have any space right there. But if you put it back, then again, we see what a lovely day with those separators. So which means that those separators could be something like anything you want. You can put it to be plus, you can put it to be anything, right? So if you want plus, that will be what? Plus A plus, lovely plus, day plus. So whatever you want to put here, you are permitted to put that. And take a look at this. So we are putting a separator here, which is less than operator. And what we are saying is 1 is less than 2, 2 is less than 3, 3 is less than 4, 4 is less than 5, which is true. So this probably are a flow. So we put our separator to do that. And for the case of orange, so you want apple plus banana plus orange, and you said, hey, it's yummy. So all of them are yummy. So apple, banana, orange. And how do we achieve the yummy? And this one. So let's take a look at this. So we also have what we call the ending. So we talked about separator now. Then we are talking about multiple strings with a separator and ending. So what is the ending? Let's remove this one and run it. So before I remove that, let's take a look at the way it is. So this is this here. And the next one is this one, which is line 15. So at this point now, we remove ending. And one thing you will notice now is that this one right here, we move to here. We move like this into this line. So let's see if that happens. Uh, Line 14, yeah? So here we can see what a lovely day. We still have all our dashes there. And I will also remove the hand in here. So it should be more clearer. So when I remove that handing also, you can see that the handing value has been removed right here. So we don't have it. Let's do the same here also. And also here, we have apple plus banana plus orange, and the handing value also is gone. So the handing value is just to add handing to the end of your statement. So let's put this back, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, and that's it. So now, as we can see here, we have the printing with multiple strings. So we can use a separator, we can use ending. So let's run it again with the handing now. So with the handing now, you can see what we're adding to the end of this. So we have this, which is coming from right here, this one. Then this basically means move to the new line. And after this, we have this one. Then whatever that follow, we said move to the new line. And after that, we have this, and we said move to the new line. So basically, you have to go to the new line. So if I do, let's print something else here now, again. So I'll print, I don't know, so anything. So that's a single value anyways. So you can see that is also in a new line. So that is right here. So basically, what we are learning here is the usage of using print to print multiple values with a separator, and also adding an ending to the back of it. And also here, we just learn how to use a separator only, but right here, we only learn how to use a multiple values inside a print function. So the whole idea is still the same as what you already know about printing, but the fact is that you can use your print to do more than one print at a time. So here you can see that. So we can pass in as many as possible values that we want to print, and that will be printed for us. So here is an exercise that we have to look into, and we are going to do the exercise together. So want you to follow and pay attention, basically. So here, as you can see, we have 3 questions, and this is saying that we need to create a folder, so which is O5, string formatting and printing. And if we go over here, that folder has been created for us, O5, string formatting and printing. And inside our folder, we need to create a file, printing exercise. So which is what I'm going to do here, new file. So what did I do? I click on this O5 string formatting and printing folder. Then I right click on it. Then I go to new. Then I select Python file because I want to write Python code. I click on that. And right here, I need to do printing. Then we have dash exercise. Then we have enter keyboard. And now we have the .py. So now look at the question that we have here. And that's the question that we have that we need to answer right now. And what is the question talking about? So it's talking about that we need to print out number from 0 to 5. And how do we print out that number? We have been given a format on how to make sure that we format that. This is what we can see here. This is how whatever it is that we are going to print out should look like. So if we are going to use our print function now, we need to be expecting something like this. So let's take a look. And here, print out number from 0 to 5, each a new line, starting with start and ending with end, using a maximum of 2 print functions. So we need a maximum of 2 print functions. How are we going to achieve that? So basically, what we are saying is that we need print. So first print, we probably take the start. So let's take a look at that. So let's say we put start here. So which is going to be my first string. So in between the quotes. So I'll do start. Then I'll also add that here. So that will be my start, right? And I also have 0. Then I have end. So that will be 1. But the question says we should use just 2 prints. So which means that ideally, I would think of doing something like this. And if I do something like that, I put 1 here, then where will I get the rest? So how will I do the rest? So if I do this, so let's see what we get. So we have only 2, but we need 5. Okay, good. So now the question will be, what is the way forward? Can we use slash? So let's try slash n. So probably that might come into my mind. Maybe I can go ahead and use this since this is something that is going to break to a new line. And then let's take that and add this into here, for example. And let's do another new line right here. And let's take this one, copy it, and let's add it into here. And let's make this 2. And let's try to test it and see what we get. I'll comment this out for now. And let's see if something actually comes out. And right here, we can see I already have 3. Okay, it looks like there's a magic happening here. So there's a new line here, which means that break, by the time you are printing, break to a new line. If I remove that right here, you'll see that what I'm going to get here is going to be different from what I saw just now. And here you can see it's being printed on a straight line. But from the question, we don't have to print on a straight line. We need to break after each of the end that we have here. Then we need to start a new one, right? So which means that we don't have to print on the new line. So let's put this new line back here. So which means that go to a new line and start printing again. And right here, let's do another one. And again, I'll put go to a new line right here. And we can do start. So let's make this 3. And this is going to be 3. So we are looking for 5. All right. So we are looking for 5 now. And again, what should I do? Let's put another new line here. And let's copy this. And let's make it 4. So that's the 4th one. So that's the 4th one. Okay. So let's put this here. So if I run this, which is 4 now, I should be able to get something like this. So start, end, but this is not here. This is not here. This is not here. This is not here. So all those ones are missing. So probably we put this way. So we need to close that. And I will run it again. Right now I can see that is closing. 3 is still missing. So we need to close 3 right here. And then we check it again. So we have it up to 4 now. Okay, it looks okay. But what of the last one? So the last one is the 5th one. And the question says we should use 2 printing. So if I do something like this, That will actually give me a solution, as you can see here. So I have a solution comparing to what I can see here. So we have the same solution right here, as you can see. So what have I done? I use my print function to print multiple value, but for each of the value I'm printing, so I print the first one, then I go to the new line. So this means go to the new line. Don't print on a straight line. Move to the new line, then print again. Move to the new line, print again. Move to the new line, print the third one. Then move to the new line, print the fourth one. And the last one is to use the last print function. So the last one is to use the last print function. Now, there's another way to do this. So this is one way, which is something that, yeah, someone will quickly think of that, okay, this is going to solve the problem. But there's also another way that we can achieve this goal. And what can that be then? So the point is we already have a solution. So what can that way be in order to achieve also this goal? Are you following?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you have any question up to here?
No, no.
Okay. So now we can see this is one way. I want to do another way in order to get the same result. So this is why when you are in IT, it's not only one way that we always give you a solution. So everybody can think on their own way and they will always get their own solution out of it. So this is one way based on the knowledge that we already have. So we print, we move to, so basically this means move to a new line. So if you remove that, then the whole thing will fucked up. So let's check it. So if you remove one of move to the new line from the print function, and we try to run it again. So you can see it has fucked up the first one. So that is printing straight because we move to the new line here. So that's slash n, it means new line. We have it in the slide. So new line right here. So it will make sure that something moves to the new line. So that is what I've used. And that seems to be solving that problem for me, which is totally okay. But now let's take a look at another way. So I can do it also like this, print. So first thing is to start. So I'll just take this start that I put here initially. I'll put it in here because according to what I can see, I need a start first. So that will start. That is fine. And now let's expand this so that we can see clearly. So we start, as we saw here also, we start. Now this is my start here. And I'll come here. So the question is to make sure that we use two print function. We don't want to use more than two print function. So another print we start here. So another print we start. So if I start here, it means that what I will get is only start, as you can see here. And after getting a start, I need a number. So I'll put number here. So let's do number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are the numbers I need. And I'll try to print. That will not look good at this time. So as you can see, all these are printed on the same line. So I need to continue to fix it now. So what I'm going to do is I'll come here. I'll put a comma here. Remember the sep that we talked about? Sep, we come in between the numbers. So sep, we come. So let's say step dash here. And let's see what is going to happen here. So that comes in between the numbers. So that's what the sep is going to do. Since I know that that is coming between the number, after 0, I need end. After 0, I need end. So which means that instead of using dash here, why can't I just put end here? So now if I try again, seems to be making sense. So it means that I need a way to move this to this place. So at least move up a little bit. So that will be start, 0, end. So that is fine. Then after that, I need another start here for in the front of 1. Then end is already there. That is fine. And so on and so forth. So my hand seems to be okay a little bit. And I also need one hand at the back of 5 here. So this is where I can see that is missing right now. And I need to solve that problem. So I'll use my step because I know step will go in between these letters. And I can see that also here. So let's find a way to move this to hop here. So the way I'm going to move that hop is I'll come here. So since we have a new line by default, I need to close it by using my hand and put an empty string here. So that we close the new line default here. So let's try to run it again. So here I can see that has moved a little bit up now. So start now, 0, end, seems to be fine. So after the end, I need to move to a new line. As I can see here, after the end here, there should be a new line. So I'll put a new line here, /n. So go to a new line. Let's see. Good. So from start is 0, seems to be fine. 1 has moved to a new line. 2 has moved to a new line. 3, 4, new line. So 1 need a start because it already had a end. So we need to find a start for 1. So after a new line, it means that we need a start here, as I can see with my eyes. So it means that start should be here. Because after a new line, immediately we jump to 1, and 1 need a start at the front here. So let's try it. So here we can see all of them now get a start again. So from 0, just like what we did from here, we are doing it also here. Now I have one more problem to solve. My 5 is missing hand at the end of everything. So my 5 is missing hand. So what I need to do is to put hand for my 5, and that will be to use additional hand here. So I'll do hand, and I'll do double quotes, and we can copy this hand and put it in the hand here. So that will be the last end that 5 we take. I'm doing that now. If I run this again, so you can see this can be solved this way also. So these are the possible ways of achieving these goals. Any question?
No question.
Are you clear?
Kind of, but I now be clear later. But I understood what you did, but it's okay. Hello?
Yeah. Hello? Can you hear
I
me?
said, yeah, I said I understood what you did.
Okay.
It's okay. Maybe after the class, I don't know if you can crop that
Yeah, sure.
exercise,
Sure.
send to me, then I would do it on my own.
But you have an access to the slide. Do you remember?
Do I have access to the slides?
Yeah.
No, I can't remember where.
Probably maybe you can share your screen. I can show you.
Okay, let me do that now.
Yeah. So I'll stop sharing. Yeah. So I hope you can see my screen. Yeah. So
Yes, I can.
we just looked at this exercise, and we used 2 ways to solve it. So the first one is this one, and the second one is this one. And we can see that each of them basically provide or produced the same result. So as you can see from here. So Let's print it again. So right here we can see. So if comment one out, we're still going to achieve that result. If we comment this out and not comment this one, we're still going to achieve the same result, as you can see. So I'm going to send this code to you in case if you are still missing it. And that is for printing exercise. Yeah, sorry, I think I did already. So you should have it in the Slack. Maybe you can take it later. So let's go on. And also we have the printf style formatting. So the one we just looked into is how we use prints to print out multiple strings. We haven't actually done any formatting yet. But right now, we want to start looking at how we can format our string. So I'm going to read a little bit out from the slide. So strings in Python have a unique built-in operation that can be accessed with the modulo operator, this operator. It is commonly called old style formatting. It makes a simple positional formatting very easy. So what are we talking about here? So take a look here. We have a variable, general. We have the last name, Kenobi. So those are two variables that we created here, and we assign names into those variables. So what we want to do is to print out. And we are not just going to print, but we want to have a format. So if you only want to print, you can just pass in the name and the last name, and that will print out. But take a look at what we are doing inside the print function. So I will jump into my PyCharm right here. So this is where we started formatting. So you can see we put that inside formatting. And right here, all what we still have is printing introduction. So where we introduce you to how we can use multiple values inside a print function. But at this point now, we are going to look at string formatting. Now the first formatting that we have, which is referred to as the old style, or we can say printf style formatting, as you can see from the slide. So this is also referred to as printf style. So general Kenobi, and at this point we do hello there, and look at that modulo operator. Then we put that s right here, and we do the same thing here. And this is altogether a string. And here we can see we have another modulo operator, and we do open brackets, close brackets, and finally we close the brackets that we open at this point. So what are we doing here? The name that we have here is going to be placed in this position. The last name will be placed in this position. So let me try to run it, and it will make more sense by explaining and looking at the solution. So hello there. So this name is now being occupied here, and last name also goes here. If we remove this format here, then there's a problem. You can see this is being highlighted, telling you where do you want me to go to, because I can't find what I need that will allow me to be placed here. So I couldn't find it. So if I run this code, we have an error. So then this needs to go somewhere, and that is missing. And the house is basically this one that we remove. So this is one. Name needs to go there. But now it's still complaining because it looks at this place. It could only find one. And two things needs to go home, and one home will not occupy two of them. Each of them need their own unique apartment. So which means that this also is expecting to have his own apartment so that you'll be able to enter that place. So that's it. So name goes here, last name, enter his own apartment here. And therefore, if we run this now, we're going to have hello dear General Kenobi. If you don't have it, need a comma here, you can remove it. And that goes in there, as you can see. Okay, so now this is where we started from, and we refer to it as a node style. Why is it odd? We'll get to that point. So let's take a look at this one. We realize that, hey, what we are doing here can even be maybe simplify a little bit. And we know that since name is coming here and last name is coming here, then why can't we just pass in that name here and last name here? Okay, what I'm saying might not make sense to you now. So let's try to go up a little bit. I'll move this down. So the first thing that we have done is that we saw how this goes inside here, and that was fine. But then what is the problem with this one? Why do we have to do this again? So the problem with this one is very simple. So assuming that you made a mistake in arrangement, in the order of arrangement here. So assuming that. So let's say maybe someone that has age. So let's put this back. So let's say someone that has age. Let's say we have age here, and age is 47. And assuming you made a mistake in the order of arrangement, and you put age here, and therefore you need more apartment here. So I call it apartment just for you to understand the purpose of it. So it's where these guys needs to enter into. So here we make it 3 now because we have 3 variables that needs to go somewhere so that they can be printed out. So if I run that, you will see that the order is not correct. Hello there, 47, General Kenobi. So you want to address somebody, you won't start addressing that person with a H. So this seems to be something that could lead to an issue because we have to be very, we have to pay a lot of attention to the order on how we arrange these things here. In order to solve that issue, so this was one issue that was raised in the old format. In order to solve that issue, this is now created. So what is this one? So this one means that you don't need to be bothered about the arrangement here, but you have to be bothered about how you place this here. So instead of modulus operator and S, you can see we are using modulus operator, open bracket, close bracket, what you want to be here. So name should come first. This is what you're saying here. No matter what, no matter how I arrange this here, even if I put age here, even if I put age here, even if age is here, so which means that let's put the age also here now. So that will be the modulus operator that we are using right here, and open and close. So age, and we close it, and S, which is kind of representing the space where this guy will occupy. So now what do we have? So we have the first one. So this one is missing double quotes. So we have the first one to be having age now in the order of arrangement here. But if you take a look at the space where they are going to, age is not the first thing here. So which means that we won't be expecting this guy to be printed like this because this is the fixed for this one. So let's try to run it and see what happens. So here we go. So right here we can see we are not bothered about this ordered anymore, but we are bothered about this ordered now. So the order in which we place things here will determine how they are printed, not the order in which we place it here. But then we realize again that this is going to be too much if we have a lot of variables that we want to print out. So if we have like 10 variables here, I have to keep doing this. I have to keep doing this, repeating name, last name, age, age, name, name, last name, last name. And if we still have house address, we still have school address and so on and so forth. We have to add all those things here. And that would be too lengthy. So which is another thing that could lead to an issue because you have to type a lot, right? And this is why we drop the whole style. We now come to the new style. We say, okay, let's try to do something that will make our life easy because this looks a little bit complicated, even though it's solving a problem, the problem of this one. So we don't consider now, I mean, we are not care now the order on how we arrange this one here anymore because this is taking care of that, this order, and not this order. Even though this one is solving this problem that we can see here. So the point is, that we can see here, the point is too lengthy. So here we can see it. So now you have to type a lot. So we come to a new style. So again, variables, general, Kenobi, same variable that we have. And the places where they need to occupy. So in the new style, we use this and not this anymore. So we realize that, okay, this one and this one, at least maybe just this one is fine. Okay, we use this, fine. So that's the format. But then this is a string altogether, as this is also a string altogether. But you need to call dot format here. And this is what we are talking about here. If I go to the slide in the new style, so we call the new style str.format. So which means that you're going to call format on a string. So str is a string, str.format, str.format. So we realize that, okay, it is possible to do something like this, putting a name here, the same name that we put in here before. Also, we can go here. Last name also can go here. And again, we're going to have the general Kenobi. General is a name. Kenobi is the last name. We're going to have it printed the way we want it. But again, the issue still is about this one, this order. So let's put age here also. And let's put maybe the H in the front right now. Maybe we didn't quickly think of it, the order in which we have to place this. And if I run this again, so you can see the same problem is still happening here when we use this approach in the new style. Then we now realize that, okay, this approach also can be solved using the same approach that we use there. And here you can see, instead of open and close with some extra stuffs that we use here, which is too many for someone to even remember. So this is why this whole style is dropped. Now we use these curly braces. We just pass in the name into it. So which means that whatever that must be here should be the key that we put here, which is a name. And whatever must come here must be the last name. And therefore, even if I put age in front here, that will not be the first thing that will go. So even if I put age here, so age will not be in the position of name, never, because we have specified that name is the key and name should be the one that comes here first. So therefore, now, if I now do something like that, I can put my age here. So we can do our age here, and age will be here, even though I put it in front here, just like I did here now. So age will never go into the first position because there's a key attached to that. So my name will go to my name, my last name will go to my last name, and my age will go to my age. So This key is something like, we can even call it 1. Let's do something else. So let's do A, and let's do N, so which is a name, and let's do L, which is the last name. I'm trying to differentiate between the variables and the key so that you understand what is going on. And this is N, and this is L, and this is A, so which is the H. So those are the keys. So it means that whatever that comes here must be a name, because that's the key that we attach that. And whatever that comes here must be last name, because that's the key attached to last name. And H, whatever that comes here must be H, because A is the key here. So we try to run again. So you can see this problem also is solved in the new formatting. But again, what is now the problem of the new formatting? The problem of the new formatting again is still kind of related to this one. So again, you still have to type. You still have to like type a lot, right? Because you have to do this, and you still have to remember to put them here. So which is too much. So we kind of sense that instead of doing it this way, why can't we just pass the variable directly into here? And that's what we call string interpolation. So this is more better, more straightforward, and more easy for us to remember. So that's how the string interpolation comes into play. So general Kenobi is fine. Then hello there. Just put the curly braces that we are putting right here. Instead of using a key, pass the variable directly. And forget about this entire ones here. And that's it. And here we go. So this is string interpolation here. And with string interpolation, things are even shorter. Things are easy to remember because you don't have to struggle too much. The only thing you have to remember is that you need to remember to put F in front of it. And that is something that has not been implemented in the new style here. So assuming that has been implemented here, we wouldn't have used this one here at this point. But in the string interpolation is when this comes into play. So F. So once you put F here, then everything is fine. If you don't put that F, then that will not print. So let's take a look. So here we can see it's printing before, but now that I remove that F, I'll try to run it. And what you see now is this thing as it is written here. So let's take a look. So right here, you can see name, last name. And that's not what we want. We want the value that we store in the name and the last name. And for you to get that value, this needs to be white. And for it to be white, you need to put F here. And that is what is going to activate it and make it a variable, as you can see right here. Therefore, by running it now, you will see the value that is stored there. The value stored there is general Kenobi, as you can see right here. So this is more better. You don't have to type too much, and it's straightforward. So from now on, we are going to be using this string interpolation to do our formatting. So all these ones are something that we can also use. They are still in Python. They are not removed. We just refer to them as old style. And this is a new style, which of course is not new anymore. String interpolation is the new one that we have now, the new style that we have now. Any question up to this point? Too many information, yeah?
Yeah, too many information.
Mm-hmm.
Or
I
maybe I
got it.
should proceed. This F,
Yeah.
if the F has to be there by default, one has to put the F there by default. If you don't put your F, then it's incomplete.
Yeah, it's incomplete. That is not string interpolation. So
Okay.
you need to put F. So that's why we call it string literals. And that's where it got its name from, as string literals. So if you go here, we say string literals or F strings.
Okay.
So you can refer to it as string interpolation. If I say string interpolation or string literals or F strings, you should know that I'm talking about this format. And
Okay.
that's the easiest way, as you can see, from all these two. So all these two are difficult to remember sometimes, but this is straightforward. So we keep using this one from now on, this formatting approach. which is string interpolation, and you will get used to it. So it's not something that is difficult. But yeah, for the first time that you are hearing about it, it will look a little bit strange, but you are not going to hear about it and we are not going to forget it. So it's something that we continually using. Therefore, you will remember what it means.
Okay.
And here you can see what we are using it to do. We use it to do some kind of embedded mathematics here. So here, assignment of 2 goes to A, assignment of 7 goes to B, and we use that string interpolation. We do A times B, so that means 2 times 7, because the value is what is going to be printed here. 2 times 7 raised to the power of 2 is, again, we use that string interpolation, A multiplied by B raised to the power of 2. And we can see we have the result right here. So 2 times 7 raised to the power of 2 is this value. Any question?
No, no question.
Cool. So now we also have changing how variable is displayed. So from now on, we continue to use string interpolation. And right here, we want to use it again to see what is going on. And we kind of use it to create a table here. So that's why we call it formatting. We are formatting a string in any way we want. So we use string interpolation to create a table for our data, as you can see right here. So that's it. So let's take a look. So header, name, header2, age, name, John, age 22. What is it? So right here, header is the name here. This is first column, and this is the second column. And we have a name and age, 2 columns. And under those columns, we have John attached to the name, and age is 22. So we have one row. So let's see how this is being printed using the string interpolation. So we do print. So from here, what are we doing? The F string, which is the same as what you can see from the top right here or from here. So that needs to come first before your double quote. If that is not here, so things are not string interpolation anymore. So instead of you getting the value name, you will get header column 10. The way it is written there is where you will get it printed out. So right here, you can see that. So that will not give you the value located inside of it. So this is why this F, you should always put it. And whenever you put it, you see that the colors changed. The color will change to white, and the color of your variable is white. Anything that is a green is a string. So if you don't put that, this becomes a string, and string we always print as it is. So right here, you can see it's a string, and it's printing as it is here. It's a green thing, and that will print. But if you put F here, that will activate that variable, white, white, header2 is white, header2 is white. Name is white, name is white, age is white, age is white. If you remove F here, then from there you will quickly realize that something is wrong, because this name must be white because it's a variable. By putting it, that is active, white, fine. Okay, so let's take a look again. So now what are we doing here? So we take header1, and header1 is a name. We put a column here, and we put 10. So all what we are saying is that make sure that everything that we have in here have a space of 10. So that we give a space of 10. And the same thing goes to the age, which is the other 2. And we'll make sure that we align that with 10 spaces. So we have equal balance here, 10, 10. And this is how this is why this table look neat. If we remove 10 here and put 10 in one place, then you see that things will scatter a little bit. So here we go. So you can see that. So name is not having 10 spaces, age is having 10 spaces. Therefore, age moved towards name. But these ones are still fine because we didn't remove that. So if I also remove 10 here, so that we also move towards John, and things will not look nice, as you can see. And we have this space. And if you remove this one also, there will be no 10 space. And also here, there will be no 10 space. So you can see how things become shrunk together. So let's pull that back. So basically, that is saying that print out the name, then put spaces, 10 spaces in between them. And same thing goes here. Same thing goes here. Same thing goes here. So we have a blank balance, actually. And right here, we can see that again. So right here, we are doing string repeat. So this is something that we already talked about today. So that's what we did here. In between the two, we print out the header, then we print out the body. If I move this up a little bit, so what we will get is that, let's comment this out, or maybe let's leave it and let's put a comment at this point. If you want to do a comments, so you can click on the control on your keyboard and then use slash. So for example, if you want to comment out 3 things at the same time, make sure you highlight that and click on the control keyboard and slash. So control and slash key, and that will give you multiple item commented out. And if you want to uncomment it, highlight them again, control and hit slash again, and that will uncomment it. So if you want to uncomment one, you can just remove it from here. So let's try to run this. So see what is going on. This line that was in between before now is here at the bottom because we move it to the bottom, but we want it to be in between again. So move it to the right place. And that will stay in between the header and the body. That's it. So that's what we have done here. That's what we have done here. There's no magic here. So the only thing is that we have used string interpolation that we just learned how to use. And we use string repeat in order to repeat this character many times. If we put plus here, that will be the character that will be repeated many times. So whatever you put there is what you get back. If you put slash here, that will be a slash that you will use in here. Well, we don't want to use slash anyway. We want to use that straight line. So you can see that. Okay, so let's finish this one and we can stop for today so that you can take rest. Is that fine?
Honestly, it's like we're in the same spirit because I was saying I'll plead with you to,
Yeah,
to
yeah, I
stop
understand.
here.
So let's
My head
stop here
is
for today.
saturated already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I know. So don't worry, you'll get used to it. So we'll stop here today.
Okay.
So here we have n. So again, we assign a value here. So that value is float, as we can see. But out of these floating numbers, we want to just take 3 out of it. And that's the format here. So let's try to run it. And here we go. So from 09.432, we stop there. If you want to take 1, just put 1 here. And that will take 0109.4. And it will stop here. Here we go. And if you want to take 2, you know what to do. Just put 2. And that will take 43. And so on and so forth. If you don't put anything here, that will print it at this. And that will give you the entire value. But this is what we call string formatting. As you can see, we are formatting all these tests and so on and so forth. And the same thing goes here, which is what I just explained. So here, that will give you 71% when you put 1 here. And if you run it, we have our result right there. Any question?
No question.
Okay, we're gonna stop here for today. I hope you understand everything that I've been talking about.